We are coming to you live from Augusoft with somewhat of a special edition. We have a group of somewhat new employees here with us today to discuss what it's like to be hired in the time of a pandemic. Thank you everybody for joining us today. And with that, everybody go around and one moment. So sorry about that. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and I guess I'm a little rusty and forgot to mute the live YouTube video. That was myself in the background. Anyway, why doesn't everyone go ahead and introduce themselves, and we'll get started.
Well, I'm Matt Schwalbach, implementation and training specialist, and I was hired at Augusoft in March. So basically, I was in the office for maybe a week and a half, and then went virtual from there on out.
I'm Christian Bykowski, and I'm on the customer support team. I was hired in September, so well into the pandemic.
Yep, and then me next. My name is Chi Nu. I was also hired in September, and I'm part of the customer support team. And yeah, started with virtual as well.
I'm Tanya Muller. I work in software development as an integration developer, and I was hired at the end of August.
And my name is Lindsay Reese. I was hired on as an implementation and training specialist September, I believe it was September 21st. So also hired pretty much virtually as well. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it would be like to start a new position during this entire last year, basically, not having, that interaction with each other, it kind of physically being in the office. Fortunately, I did meet, well, most of you except for Tanya in person, because Tanya probably would have been virtual regardless, since she is not local. But it was, like Lindsay, I met you that one day, and that was really it. And same with you and Christian. So I guess I'm just curious, what is it like to be, working with your teams and everybody on a virtual Zoom level?
For me, it's not really all that weird. A lot of my socialization I do online, so it really just feels kind of natural. It's not too challenging.
Okay.
For me, I did have a position during the pandemic before I moved on to Augusoft. So I was working remotely then, so this transition was pretty smooth. I was used to working with through video and calls. So yeah.
And I've been working remotely for a couple years now, not full time, but a month or two at a time. And also I worked remotely probably 20 years ago when I first moved to Colorado, which was a whole different ballpark because there was no video chat and that sort of thing. So this is so much better than then.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would say in our roles, Lindsay and I, in our implementation roles, a lot of our work is done remotely with our clients anyway. So we are fairly, or at least I am, I won't speak for Lindsay, but I think, we're fairly accustomed to working with people virtually anyway. So that wasn't a huge change. I think you do miss a little bit of, from an onboarding perspective, I think it's a little more challenging. But that's just mainly it's because, this is the first time I've been hired into a situation like this. So I think the onboarding piece is the biggest challenge to working virtually. So
yeah, I would agree with Matt. I think the onboarding piece is harder because, yes, you can still reach out on Teams, but it's different when you sit next to somebody and just shoot out a question for, 2 seconds. versus having to like get the Teams chat going and then, go through that route. I'd say I also kind of miss office banter sometimes, it's just like you really know somebody a little bit better when you're in the office with them. Like I talked to you, Abby, the one day, and I was like, I wouldn't know that you are the person that waters the plants in the office if I wouldn't have been in there the one day. So it's just like the little stuff like that that can be, missed sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm a department of one technically, so I don't really work with you guys or with a lot of people, or I don't have as much interaction during the day. So it's interesting to me that you guys all are kind of already, we're already used to doing this, just given your positions and background. But yet I feel like, I see you guys on the Monday morning meetings, but that's about it. And I don't really know anything about you that you would typically learn because, we're not in the office. We don't get up and just go take a break and chat with, somebody for a little bit. So that's definitely interesting. But it doesn't sound like the pandemic has necessarily affected any of your positions, and which is, great. Yes, it is 2020, well, almost 2021, thankfully. And hopefully, thank goodness for technology, and hopefully, just keep on keeping on.
The only downside of onboarding remotely is like my first couple weeks, I think I spent almost my entire week in meetings.
Yeah.
And so it was literally jumping from one call to the next call and trying to manage that and then trying to find a little time in between to understand what all was thrown at me. So,
Right.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and definitely. And with that being said, I was going to mention we have 2 company meetings every year, usually one in January and one in June, where everybody comes together into the office and people, fly in, all of our people that don't work locally. And that's just, the 1 or 2 opportunities that we would get to, kind of all interact in person. And fortunately with this year, we canceled our June company meeting due to, having to do it all on Zoom, and it was just too much, but we are planning to do that in January, but it's difficult with everybody, constantly being on calls and in meetings and on Zoom, and just, we want to have interaction with each other, but to add, more Zoom meetings on top of everything sometimes isn't, I hear Zoom fatigue is real, and I do agree. I'm learning that is a real thing. So yeah, just hopefully, I don't know, be nice to see you guys in the office again, or for the first time or ever.
Yeah, I think to your point, it's not so much the interaction within our immediate team, because we get that through, regular meetings, that sort of thing. It is the interaction outside of our team that I think we miss a little bit. So like obviously within our implementation team, we get together, I feel like, or, I know everybody fairly well there, and even customer support. So Chenu and Christian and that side, we have a meeting every 2 weeks. So I kind of understand, them a little bit and know a little bit more about them. It's when you get outside of those 2 teams for me, where it's kind of like,
You don't know anyone.
yeah, you don't know anybody, and maybe you don't even think about asking them questions because, out of sight, out of mind sort of situation, where I think that is where we lose a lot of value in being able to just stand up, look over the cube and say, hey, so-and-so, can you help me answer this question? So I think that's another challenge that I've noticed.
Mm-hmm. Or just being able to listen to somebody else as they're talking on the phone or training or working with somebody, just to kind of pick up and learn their lingo, or
Yeah,
missed as well.
definitely. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm home alone. I sit in here. Well, now I'm in my home office in my bedroom. But I sit in here alone, like, all day, every day. And some days I go without talking to anybody, and it's just so wild because I live in a building with other people, but I don't know. It's just, it's just interesting and it's just different. I mean, I started when we were in the office and I was in the office, every day in the beginning, and then we just had a complete change, and we hired several new people during this time, and we spend most of our days, working with each other, and yeah, it's just a different time and experience for all of us. So
Yeah. Well, I'll send my kid and my wife over just so that you can have some company, because I'm more than like, no, I mean, I love them, but being
Right.
stuck at home, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it can be a challenge sometimes. Like my kid's room is right above my office, and he likes to play hoops every once in a while to get his wiggles out. So then I have to like hammer up there to tell him to like stop bouncing around. So
Oh, it sounds like my upstairs neighbor. Jeez.
yeah,
I don't know him, so he's been talked to before, but it sounds like, I don't know, it's wild. But anyway.
The separation piece is probably harder because it's like, oh, I go from my home office right to my living room in less than like 2 minutes, which is great for a commute. I mean, let me tell you, but sometimes it's hard to kind of separate that.
Yes. I mean, at one point, to put up my Christmas tree, I moved my desk into my bedroom. I have one bedroom, and I moved my furniture finally, but I was like tumbling and rolling onto my bed in order to like get around to my desk for a little bit. And every time I leave my bedroom, I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to do, there's just so much other stuff to do at home. It's sometimes hard to like separate that or remain focused. And when you get, distracted by upstairs noises and stuff like that. So anyway, now I'm rambling again. Does anybody have any last pieces, comments, things they want to say?
I don't know. I guess my advice to somebody, working virtually is, we all have different personalities. Some are more outgoing, some are more introverted. And I think you just have to make a concerted effort to get out and put yourself out there a little bit, so that others can learn a little bit about you and kind of help with sort of that team aspect.
Yeah, definitely.
I do enjoy the meetings that we have when we have the get to know each other questions, like the 4 lies and a truth, or just having the team try to work together and make fun activities or share recipes is nice to try to get everyone to come together.
Yeah, definitely. And we have been working on trying to do more, of that employee engagement with everybody to try to, get to know each other better. So I'm glad that it's not just like an extra thing that like you have to do. And it's nice that, it's appreciated, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely appreciated. And it's a nice little break in the day versus just meeting after meeting.
Yeah, that's true. It is nice to be able to be a little bit more relaxed, I suppose, for a lot of you guys that meet with clients often. Not that
I will say the meeting we had with the Masked Singer and what main scheduled for that meeting was probably the best meeting so far. It was very, very fun.
Awesome. I'm sure he'll be really happy to hear that. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't sure at first when we decided to do that going into it, but yeah, it was great. And we'll have to definitely do more stuff like that in the future. And again, hopefully one day, kind of maybe next year, or obviously it will be next year, but maybe we'll be in person at one point. So, all right. Well, thanks again, everybody. And if you have any questions for anybody at Augusoft, please feel free to leave a comment below or send an email to info@augusoft.net. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.